TDS has had a lot of events in its lifespan with varying quality. However, some of the events were clearly above the others, and today I am going to present to you, in my opinion, the top 5 best events in TDS history up to the release of this video. Let's begin. We start the list strong with the latest real event, the final act. This event featured a single map, a mini-boss, and a boss narrator. This event also had a Forsaken collab, which got some people tweaking. The reason why this event is in the top 5 is simple. It is just a solid event. It didn't do or add anything crazy, it just offered a good experience. The event server, Spotlight Technician, is a Pyromancer ripoff, but everything else, including the battle pass and excluding the stupid fucking crate, was great. Like, the battle pass had a tattoo as a final free reward. You can't mess with that. The event had some weird enemies and a rather inconvenient pathing, but nothing too bad. The Naruto boss fight had some issues, such as its minions being able to destroy your base when they are not supposed to, due to hitboxes, I assume. Spotlights being buggy, or the fact that they keep reusing what is essentially the same mechanic over and over again, but it was generally an outright good boss fight. The war did not add much except for some backstory that looks way too similar to Ninjago's war. But we had some bromance between commander and narrator, I suppose. The event also had unique missions that rewarded the stupid fucking crates, adding to replayability. Overall, this event is just a good event. There aren't many issues with it, and generally it provides a pleasant experience, can't complain. Next up we have Hexcape, which is considered the first modern TDS event, as the dev said that when events become replayable, this event will be the first one. Let's address the elephant real quick. The battle pass sucked. It was genuinely the first battle pass in TDS history, not just because it introduced a paywall, but also because it took ages to grind. This battle pass literally popularized TDS macros, that's how bad it was. I felt like I was grinding TDX Tower Battles Part 1 battle pass again, except maybe it took even longer. Alright, with that out of the way, the rest of the event was great. It featured 3 nights with a dedicated boss in each one, and some continuous voice lines. The war also progressed massively, as it was the first event to truly implement cutscenes to the right standard. It introduced the Children of Exo, and explained why we need to hunt the God Cubes. The final boss, Primordial Draco Boxer, was really weird, and both looks and gimmick, but the rest of the event was up to a high standard, and the computer synthesis conserver was cool. The event towers included a Team Rocketeer and Harvester, which generally quite niche, but hey, it makes fun deal damage. It also had the ultimate challenge, Triumphant of All Knights, which involved beating all knights in a row with the same loadout. I've added some cool stuff. Overall, a great event if you close an eye on the bottom of the barrel battle pass. Yes, this may be just nostalgia, but I don't care. Yes, this event had no content outside of a single map, event server, and a virtual battle pass was only 4 skins available at the time, and its warrants no free content. But man, it was so much fun. The event's main gimmick was a 4-pass system, where enemies split in half and then combined together again into 4 paths near the end of the track. This meant you fought a lot of enemies at once, which meant a lot of fun, because a lot of enemies on a lot of paths is fun, especially as it's early in the game. Wooden Pyro was finally made useful after being trash for so long, because fire damage was doubled against the enemies in the event. The enemy variety was also great, containing meat shields, mysteries, and frost spirits from Clash Royale. You also had mini-bosses near the finale. The final boss, Frost Spirit, had the highest at the time 1 million HP, which is not impressive today, but it was sure back then. Unfortunately, while the event was supposed to be difficult, it was not thanks to the dumb broken Toxic Gunner, who used to slow down bosses permanently by 50%. To add salt to the wound, the event was also solvable because Soma was also busted back then, thanks to a B-stacking bug. The battle pass, despite being short, contained the Axe crate, which was unheard of since Sawyer Eclipse, and was easy to complete. The event server, Swagger, was pretty OP on release, and a lot with Toxic Gunner 2 Hidden Wave into a joke. Overall, Lost Invasion may not have much content-wise, but the gameplay carried it to the top 3 of TDS events. Easily the most progressive event story-wise, Null and Void in my opinion is the second best event in TDS history. Starting with the Battle Pass, it had some amazing skins, and one with arguable top 5 skin in the game, Dragon Pursuit. The event itself had 3 nights, which seems to be the standard for Halloween events nowadays. Gameplay-wise, the enemies were corrupted versions of normal towers, which is cool I guess. The bosses were also great, especially the final one, the Rift Walker, who summoned War Exo to damage your base, and you had to solve him with a star cannon, and yes, the ripped off solar eclipse. The enemies were quite unique, which added to the gameplay, also the purple dinosaur really pissed me off. The war has developed the most out of all events. A lot of stuff happened, and I don't remember all the details, but I think the Rift Walker got betrayed by the children of Exo, who used him as a seal for Lord Exo. Also, one of the bosses could literally slow down time. Oh, and also Dispatcher got kidnapped. And all of that happened because of Professor V, because of course it did. The event also had challenges to do the roboted stuff, along with the return of Triumvirate of All Knights. The event server was Warlock, and I'm not sure what to say about him. Last with the event introduced a unique curse system, where you had to pick between 3 curses randomly given to you on nights 1 and 2. Night 3 also had them, but they were not randomized. I liked the mechanic, but sometimes it felt really RNG, especially on night 2, where a bad curse selection can easily end your run. Outside of that, however, this event is amazing. It had interesting lore, gameplay, skins, etc. There was basically nothing to complain about. Deserved second place. Before we proceed to number 1, let's mention some mentions that need to be mentioned. First honorable mention is Operation Ice. It was a good event all around, but was held back greatly by half of the map being irrelevant thanks to event's gimmick. The event taken a bit so one for what it offers, and most importantly, Professor V letting Shotless Romeo escape. Next up is Krampus Revenge, which was just a good event, but not good enough to end as the top 5. Lastly is the original 2019 Krampus event, which again was great and was the first event I've ever played, but it just wasn't good enough for the top 5. With that out of the way, I present to you the best event in TDS history. We all know that this is the best event in TDS, let's not fool ourselves. Solar Eclipse had 4 nights, the most in TDS history, as well as an amazing battle pass with great skins, emotes and a Deluxe grade. It was also easy enough to complete. The bosses of each night were great, each having their own personality and looking different. Every night also had a very unique and interesting gameplay, with map design also being superior. The final boss, Umbra, got many people banned into Discord. Aside from that, she was also the first boss to have voice lines instead of just pure text. The war was also good as well, and the gameplay was fun and polished on all 4 nights. The final boss fight was also great, and it was the first event to introduce the mechanic outside of the normal tower defending, which was a star cannon. The event server was Executioner, who had an insane bug at the release, being able to serve Solar Eclipse Night 4. Outside of that, I just can't praise the event enough. This should be the standard for the TDS events, a truly deserved first spot in my opinion. That was the top 5 best events in TDS history. What do y'all think? Is this list good or flawed? Thanks for watching, bye!